we have to have love for other people. Even if we don't love them, we have to be respectful. We have to empathize with what they're going through. My experience is completely different than your experience, than Tiesha's experience, and then Jill's experience. We are all here. We get together and we care about each other. The four of us, totally different, coming from different places. Jill, you gotta go get glasses on now.
I know. I feel so left out. My glasses are in the other room.
We waited for you, Tiesha, because today's topic doesn't have to be heavy, but I do need you in here, girl. You represent the Black community, so I need you here.
Perfect. I got the perfect shirt on then, right?
What is it? Let me see.
FAMU Rattlers.
Oh, nice.
Florida A&M University. We are the Rattlers. We are the #1 HBCU in the nation. So this is very cultural giving. Yes, it is the 4th of July. It is the United States Independence Day, but it wasn't my Independence Day. It wasn't my people Independence Day. So, but yeah, we can get into it.
I hear you, girl. Well, let's get into it. Michelle, as per usual, she's like, oh, God. What are we going to talk about? Right? I know. Michelle likes a fun time. I do too. We're going to make this fun, I promise, Michelle.
We can talk about serious stuff too. I have no problem with that. Honestly, for me, I think a lot of times the problem is truly, I feel like I was sheltered for a long time. I grew up in Brazil, which is not sheltered. I was not sheltered in Brazil, but I grew up in a Mormon community in Brazil. The majority of the people that I spent a lot of my time with were all Mormons. And so I grew up in that. And then when I came to the United States, I went to Mormon Mecca, right? And that is where I stayed. So I feel like a lot of these things I don't know. And I just want to learn, really. And at 49 years old, I'm going to learn about this stuff.
I lost Miss Tiesha. It's okay. She will come back. Today, I kind of want to ponder on the title of today's episode will be somewhere along the lines of motherhood in a changing world. In light of 4th of July, I think it's fair to say that July 3rd was a huge change in what is about to become the United States laws. New everything. Things are changing. And many people are scared, maybe anxious about what's about to happen after, there's a bill that passed yesterday, the Senate. So I don't want to go into politics. That is not part of what I want to do today. But I do want to talk about motherhood in a changing world, parenthood in a changing world, where it can feel scary, where it can feel uncertain, and finding strength through navigating the complexities of life's unexpected turns. Now, last time it was fun and funny because we were talking about how Michelle wanted to hear all about my birthing story and how I almost opted to have a home birth because I'm quite a scrunchy mama. Miss Jill is pregnant, as you guys know. So it turned into something we wanted to share on today's episode or in future episodes. So we might go and veer into that direction a little bit, but I do want to kind of bring out some questions in light of 4th of July, in light of changes that are coming in our nation. And I'm in Canada, so anything that happens in the United States affects Canada as well. So I'm an American. So all of these things are very concerning. I didn't expect anything to be different, but I had a small hope that maybe there would be a light through the tunnel, silver lining about how our American people and possibly, it affecting Canada in the next 2 to 4 years. I don't know how to describe what is going to happen in the next 2 to 4 years.
I have some great
And
thoughts,
do you guys,
Jackie.
yeah,
Because I'm an immigrant. I came from Brazil when I was 17 years old. My parents didn't come with me. I went to what I called Mormon Mecca, which is fine. But as an immigrant, for me, I came to the United States to learn the culture and to integrate with the culture. I've been here since 1994, so 31 years, and I have integrated with the American culture. Most people don't know that I'm from Brazil because I don't have a super thick accent. I went to school here. I take my kids to public school. And I feel very strongly about this because I did everything the correct way. It took me a long time and a lot of money to become an American citizen. I came in, I paid for school. My parents paid for my school. And thank goodness that I had parents that were able to do this for me, right? Because I know that there are a lot of people out there that cannot afford to do this. I went to school here. I did everything correctly. I never let my visa lapse. And then after 10 years, after I graduated from college, I became an American citizen. I didn't become an American citizen until 2010. John came with me. I had been here since 1994. I did things differently than a lot of people do, right? But for me, like, I feel like I have made my life into the American dream. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I have come in and I came in to join the American culture. And I did not come here to impose my Brazilian ways into an American culture. I don't know where this is going to take us, but I don't think that you were born in the US, right, Jackie? Or were you not?
I was born in California in the
So
80s.
Being the only immigrant of the four of us actually coming from the United States, I felt like I needed to say that. Now, me saying those things do not mean that I am okay with things that are going on in the world. But at the same time, I have always stood my ground that if you're here, join the culture, join what is happening in the US. That is my view. And then for all this time that I have lived here, I have never felt discriminated against.
Yeah, it's a great
Just putting
experience
it
to
out there.
have, for sure. Thank you, Michelle, because you are right. You are the only immigrant from the four of us. And while I do have both immigrant parents, I am first generation American, it's not obvious that I'm not as Americanized as you would think, just because I don't have an accent, just because I did not integrate in the United States as an American girl. I just was an American girl. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it became more of I was raised by both immigrant parents in the US. So the first language at home was Spanish all the time, every day. That was the main language. We would go to school, that was English, and then we'd come home and speak in English to our parents. So it's a very different dynamic. However, it's still in a world of immigrants, even though I'm in the United States of America, being born there and being raised there and going to school there and having friends that are American. I'm still eating the immigrant food. I'm still talking the immigrant language.
Jackie, my family, we would have spoken Portuguese in my house had it not been for Drake's speech disorder. We had to make a decision when we started doing speech therapy. It was like, okay, yes, you can speak Portuguese in the house, but his output has to be in English because that is the language that he needs to learn so he can go to school, so he can do things. So we had to, like, how weird would it be if I'm speaking Portuguese to my son, but I expect him to answer to me in English when I am not speaking English to him? So we had to make this hard choice, this hard decision. I will tell you this, we still speak Portuguese in the house because we have had an au pair or somebody who lived with us to help with the kids since they were babies. And the majority of them were Brazilians. And so we speak Portuguese in the house, not to the kids, but between me and the au pair or whoever at the time is living here with us. I think that had it not been for Drake's speech disorder, we would have spoken Portuguese.
I love that you brought that up because that is so key to complex kids. In fact, right now, I don't have, so far as we know, a complex kid. It's still a struggle to think, okay, he's going to have 3 languages. He listens to 3 languages daily. I speak to him solely in Spanish. My husband speaks to him solely in French. And my husband and I speak in English all day long. So it's
you
crazy.
Guys are so confused. You guys are all confused.
And it's one of those things where I'm just like, I have some rhetorical questions. We don't have to answer all of these, but this is a conversation now that Tiesha is here. Can you share a time when you had a conversation with someone who had very different views from your own? And how did you handle it? Right now, I think that it is heavy in the air just socially with friends and family with opposing views. What strategies do you use to stay calm? And I have a couple stories on that myself. What strategies do you use to stay calm and open-minded during difficult discussions? And then how can we create a safe space for dialogue with friends, family who hold opposing views? Kind of the same as the first. What are some signs that a conversation is no longer productive? And how do you do it when it's time to disengage? In what ways can we continue to foster relationships with people we disagree with without compromising our own values? I have so much to share on that. And then how do you personally handle the emotional toll of ending or redefining friendships over political differences? This is the last one, I promise. What role does empathy play in navigating conversations with people who have opposing viewpoints? Empathy, this word that has only been the only reason why I still have friends with opposing views to my own. Yeah.
I have a lot to say. So, Tiesha, you better get on here because if not, it's going to one story here. And and because I got a lot.
It's a lot. Jill, you want to go first? I'm a social worker, so we all know how this can go. Jill, I'm gonna let you go. I'll go after you, Jill.
I mean, look, what I'll say, I went to school in a suburban area that was primarily white, upper middle class. There was not a lot of diversity. My experiences with more diverse interactions happened in my sleepaway camp, which was a performing arts camp that had kids from all over. And it was my first time really interacting with people that were growing up very differently than me, but we had commonality, and that really set a foundation. And then also in college, because I went to school in the capital, like I went to school in Washington, D.C. While I did not, my focus was not politics. It was ingrained into the culture of the school and the environment. My freshman year dorm was a couple of blocks from the White House. It was so ingrained in my college experience and that formative time in my life. In college, I remember a criminal justice class with vivid memories where there were many people there that had very different opinions from mine, but politically, on social issues and things that I felt very passionately about. There was discussion and debate facilitated in a respectful way. Even if I walked away and I'm like, I still feel how I feel, I don't agree with you at all, I had a level of respect for what they had to say and vice versa. These conversations were able to happen. And there is a definite shift that I feel now from then. It's not that it didn't feel personal then, but it's just on a whole other level now. When I was dating before I met Matt, you're definitely looking for someone who's aligned with your beliefs and feelings and that you have some commonality with. I felt like we could have discussions. Now, I feel like if I was dating now, and I was out to eat with someone who was like, oh, yeah, I'm okay with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I'd be like, get the fuck away from me. I don't have anything to say to you. There's no conversation. It's just a hard stop. So I think there is definitely a shift that has happened where we have become so much more polarized. The stakes feel so much higher. I do see a big shift personally. I felt the way I felt about gay rights, for example. Let's talk about gay marriage and that. That is something that personally affects me. Some of the closest people in my life are a part of that community. And if somebody felt vehemently opposed to that being a human right, I felt personal offense to that perspective. However, I've had conversations about it in the past where I could at least hear out what someone had to say and then say what I had to say, even if we didn't agree. Now, I can't. I mean, I'm being honest with you. I feel like rage, and look, it's hormones too right now. Like I told Jackie before, I feel like I'm on another level right now. The stakes feel so much higher. I don't know if part of that is that the rights of so many of these different groups in our country are being challenged in a different way. And so the stakes actually are that much higher, where maybe it used to be before, we feel differently, but like, it wasn't, things weren't being fundamentally challenged in the same way we're experiencing in this moment. And look, I mean, I'll tell you now, I think we all have different things, probably many that are in common, others that are different because different things affect us in different ways coming from our backgrounds. I can look at our screen right now and we are all women. Right?
Yeah.
And all of us have daughters. Yes. So when we talk about women's rights in this country and what is happening, something that I thought was settled law by the time I was, coming, like we've made this decision, like we're past X point. The fact that so quickly that was gone is making me think a lot about, as a woman myself, but as a mother of now 2 daughters, like, what does this mean? What else can just be stripped in a second? What other things can be someone who has nothing to do with this experience making that decision about my child's body? It feels like there's a lot happening that's moving backwards instead of forwards. And I think that's part of why the emotions feel so high for so many of us around so many of these things. I don't know if you guys weigh in and feel similarly, but I feel like that's a big part of what it's happening. It's like our autonomy, our humanity, like it's being debated, not just women. That's no example here. I think it's true across race, different areas. It's not being affirmed. It's being debated. And that's very, very scary and troubling to me.
Sorry.
I love that you guys are just full blown.
I'm sweating. I'm just going to bump the air conditioning stronger.
Yeah,
You're fine. So, for starters, I had to change locations. I had to leave home and run up the street to my office because I had no idea what was going on with my internet, which is really, really crazy. It only happens when I get on here. I'm going to have to see about it. But, so like I was saying earlier, the whole 4th of July, Independence Day, and all of that good stuff. Yes, the America, because I am an American, we gained our freedom, right? We gained our independence. However, my people, my ancestors, we were not free. We were not free until Juneteenth, which we celebrated in June. However, where I am from, Pittsview, Alabama, my ancestors were not free until May 28th. So where we're from, they host this thing called May Day. And literally that was the day we heard like, hey, y'all free. It's a really big thing for us, right? So speaking of, I'm a woman. So all of the women rights, they affect me and my daughter. I'm also a Black woman, right? So that's something else. And I've always had relatives who were a part of the LGBTQ plus.
IA plus.
Right, IA plus, right? So, but my thing with that, who you lay with, what you do, it ain't our business. Why are we putting so many stipulations and laws in place. Why would
Right.
they do? Because we don't announce, hey, I'm sleeping with Jim, because nobody cares. Nobody cares who we sleep
Tiesha,
with.
I tell everybody who I'm sleeping with. I'm just joking. Let's be honest.
No, in
But
my girl
yes,
group, before I even got married, right? Everybody know who I sleep with. Who I sleep with does not satisfy either of y'all. Y'all don't get no sensation from who I sleep with. You don't. So on that note, even prior to getting married, you know, you have your girl, you have your clique and who you run with, who you talk to, but it's not like I'm on social media blasting like, well, I'm sleeping with him or I'm sleeping with her and it needs to be known. Who cares? I know y'all don't care. So that's my whole take on that. They are human. We are all human. So we should be treated as human.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Regardless of social class you're in, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of race, creed, I feel we should all be treated equally because we're human. Now, I will say this, and I've said it on different occasions. When the feminist movement first started years ago, it was majority white women. They were fighting for these rights, but those same white women would go home to their white husbands and have dinner at 6:00, feeding the kids, and they're down by 8. When the black woman joined that feminist movement, it went from, you know, we're fighting for women right to I don't need a man for nothing. Listen, sis, that's not my story. I need mine. I absolutely need my man. And that's what's happening in the black community. Well, we don't need a man for nothing, baby. That ain't my story. That's y'all business. I can't relate. So all of that plays a part in what is happening, the bigger picture. And a lot of people are not seeing it. It took me to go to this school, and I even got my nice little flag, y'all. So for those who know, right? It took me to go to Florida A&M University to learn so much about me culturally because we wasn't getting it in school.
Wow,
it was,
Tiesha.
yeah, it was so much I did not know about me as a black person. And I went to a
goodness.
Yes, I went to a PWI, and they ain't talk about us. And
what's a PWI? Can I ask? Sorry, I don't know what that means.
A predominantly white institution.
Okay, thank you.
And a HBC, you're fine. The HBCU is a historically black college university. So that's, you know, that's what those are. So it was created for us to understand who we are because we all know that, you know,
it tried to get erased.
Yes. And to this day, I don't know what Trump got going on, removed the whole Martin Luther King thing out of the office. Like it's things like that that's being shown on the big screen, but it has been that way
real
for years.
Time. So now there's actual proof of that going on in real time. It makes it so much more like in your face now.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
It's happening.
Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that had it not been, I feel like the world is getting polarized because of what's being shown. People are falling for it. And that is the big thing. I think these conversations we need to have, right? We need to have these conversations.
But we don't.
But the problem is that people don't even want to have these conversations. What's going to happen is they're going to just boom. And what is the answer to things?
Chaos.
The answer to things are in the middle. They're in the middle. They're not over here or over here. It's like bring this together in the middle and everybody's going to be okay. I identify with a lot of things on the left, but there's a lot of things on the right that and I think that I made it as an immigrant who did everything correctly. Like I have feelings about that.
Yeah.
Don't think that things should be dealt with the way they have been dealt with, but I have a lot on the other end that I have to talk about too. Here's the thing. There is a middle ground. And if we don't find this middle ground, it will be war. That is what we are getting to right now. It is becoming a war. Instead of that, we need to bring it to the middle. We need to figure out how to empathize, right?
Michelle, why do you think that is important? Share with us why you think that's important? Because middle might mean wishy-washy for some people, and it might not mean being assertive of your value system. But I think I know what you're trying to say. So I'm asking the question, why do you think meeting in the middle, and what does that mean for you? Why do you think that's important?
Well, first of all, so we don't hate everybody in our lives, because we would lose a lot of people that could probably bring a lot to your life if you are one way or another. We have to have love for other people. Even if we don't love them, we have to be respectful. We have to empathize with what they're going through. My experience is completely different than your experience, Tiesha's experience, and then Angel's experience. We are all here. We get together and we care about each other. The four of us, totally different, coming from different places. We're here, we're talking. To me, that is what is important. It's we still need to have love, empathy.
Yeah.
But it's not just for one side. It's for everybody. It's not just for the right or the left. And that's what I'm talking about, bringing it to the middle, where unity. There's so many movies out there right now talking about how what is presented on TV and on social media and all these things, and how they're all AI created, and how they are really polarizing the world, and how things are happening. And basically, like, this is going to implode. And if people don't pay attention to this and bring it back to, I don't even want to say this, but like peace and love era, you know what I mean? If you don't have that, I'm afraid for humanity. I really, truly am afraid.
I think it's an agenda. It is an agenda that is being pushed through social media, through things just being plastered on the media to get us all in an uproar. And I'm just like, listen, as one, as a collective, let's get back to love, because love is foundation. Love is root. Love is spoken wherever you go. That language never changes. Wherever you go, love is love, right? But here we're attached to our phones. We are attached to the TV. We're watching the news. And every time something is posted, somebody is getting upset. And we act out those emotions. And it's like, listen, I'm sure a lot of things has been going on for years, but it was never just plastered. So there were less people upset. More people were loving, more unity. And we should just get back to that. In order to do that, you have to have empathy. You have to be able to say, I don't understand what you're going through. I haven't been there, but my heart connects with yours. What can I do to make this better for you? What could I do to make this load easier? It's about being human. If not, it's going to continue to be my side versus your side. We're all God's people at the end of the day, regardless of religion, creed. We're all His creation. So get back to love, and we'll be all right. But it's a process.
You know, Tiesha,
it is a process.
I agree with you, and I want to highlight the fact that you're coming from and a lot of people may have a problem with this, but this is the honest God, honest truth. Tiesha's coming from an oppressed community.
Oh, yeah.
And she is still vouching for love. And she's still vouching for openness. And she still is here about empathy. I could say the same about Michelle. I'll be honest with you guys, though. I love all of you. I am more passionate about being assertive of my value system and within love, in a lot of love, right? And Tiesha and Michelle has seen me on social media. Jill, you haven't had the opportunity. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I have been so passionate. And I will tell you guys, yesterday, when this bill passed, I was pissed. I was sad. I had a lump in my throat. There's a lot of reasons why. I have a lot of conservative views. Part of it being conservative was our money in, obviously, for the country. Everything else in that bill also attacks the underdog. also attacks our children, it actually increases the risk of death, illness, so much more. Veterans, senior citizens, you name it. I don't know if you guys were still in the era of WIC. I was in the era of WIC.
I was too.
Tiesha, do you know?
Yeah, definitely.
All of this is going to get cut in 2 to 4 years, right? And then there's rumors of what a monstrosity this bill is on other levels. I don't care about left or right views right now. I just care about how it's going to affect our families and our American people. When we're talking about being in the middle, I had to disengage with somebody yesterday because this person shared with me that they didn't believe that illegal children should be fed by the United States. And I had my jaw on the floor. Mind you, this person, I have been having conversations for months about Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Very constructive, actually very respectful engagements with him. And it just came to be that he said the one thing I wish he never said. Actually, it's maybe a good thing that he said it, because now I had to say it. I cannot believe that you would say something like that about children. You could say it about any other person in the world, but illegal children also deserve to be fed. They also deserve to eat. And it doesn't matter if they're illegal in the eyes of God, because he is a God follower.
If they are born on U.S. soil, they are legal. Their parents may be illegal, right? At least I thought, last I checked.
I'm not sure if he is actually referring to children that come in here, because they do cross the border a lot illegally. So it's almost like, unfortunately, like it's almost like falls into the trafficking category. There are situations where children don't have a status here in North America. It's an issue, but don't talk so disgustingly about children. And that's where I think it fulfilled that part of the rhetorical questions. What are some of the signs that a conversation is no longer productive? I had to disengage. I had to say, you know what? I don't agree with this. I don't think that this is something that I'm going to be okay with from here on out. And I don't want to hear about illegal children ever again coming out of your mouth. So we're going to end it here. And that's it. We have since not unfriended each other, but I have unfortunately stopped conversations with this person. And that is also, I feel and I view as loving, because you have to be assertive of your viewpoints so that you don't lash out at that person and devour them with your words and venom that you are feeling in that moment. So you got to stop the conversation and come back when you're a little less hot-headed.
Because at the end of the day, love allows.
If that person you were talking to, if they just think, did I just really say that children shouldn't be fed? I would hope that person would rethink that later.
I called them out on it and they didn't budge on their views. So I gave them a chance.
It's just all you can do is hope for change right. in that.
A part later.
Yeah. Because I think that, again, it's coming from a side on the hate, on, like, you got to show love towards children. It's not their fault that they're here. Most of the time, the parents are just pushing them across the border and trying to get them a better life. It's not their fault that they were left wherever. There are things that we need to put into place to resolve these problems. But, one thing that I always say is that I'm not a politician. And I think that a lot of times making decisions and trying to bring things together on the table, like, that is probably one of the hardest things to do.
Absolutely.
And everybody has an agenda. I could never be a politician. I am way too outspoken, and I would probably end up getting shot a lot of times because, like, people would know it. Like, I would say things one day, and then the next day I would get, like, you know what I mean?
The president of the United States has not gotten shot yet, so I think you're good.
No, but
he has.
I'm
okay,
serious.
one time. It's true.
Anyway, Well, I talk too much. Go, Tiesha. I could tell that you were going to say something.
No, but
and
plus,
you're
Miss
fine.
Jill is about to
Right.
disengage because she has to go soon. So I just want to give the floor to her before she leaves in case we continue the conversation without her.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say, Miss Jill?
You know, I'm just thinking also about that, like when we come back to this idea of empathy and listening. It was really interesting earlier in this conversation, Michelle, when you were speaking as the only person in this group that herself is an immigrant to this country,
Yes.
on what your experience is. And you acknowledge that was your experience. That doesn't mean every immigrant has that experience or those feelings, right?
Yes,
But it was like, it was very eye-opening for me, who I have my own opinions. You know, I'm the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors that immigrated here, that had nowhere else to go. I wouldn't be here had they not been able to come here and do that, right? And I have a lot of feelings on that from my own history, but I'm not an immigrant to this country, right? And hearing it from you and really listening to what you were saying offered me a different perspective that I hadn't thought about, even when I'm thinking about immigrant rights in general. I think that when we come back to this idea of love, of empathy, of listening, everyone has an opinion, right? Often, I think a lot of those opinions we think are coming from a good, helpful, caring place, whatever our perspective is. But I feel like it's really important to actually be listening to the people that are most affected in these different things we're discussing, right? And really taking that into the opinion. Like, it's not just enough to be having conversations. I feel like it's also about who are we having the conversations with and what are we actually like taking from the conversations. I remember like when it was kind of like
I love how you said that, Jill.
You know, like I remember like during the pandemic and during like after it was like during a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests that were happening. And I really was trying to listen and to hear. And sometimes when you do that, you are confronted with things you don't want to hear. Me, as a very liberal person living in a city, lots of friends from different backgrounds who thought one thing, then was listening. And I was like, I need to really sit and reflect on that. And what is my role here? And I just feel like it's about having the conversation, but it's also like, who are we having these conversations with? What are we actually taking from them? What are we here to do? Are we here to change your mind? Are we here to just take in the information and really just actively listen and hear what you're saying and take that in, right? Am I here to like throw my opinion at you? And I'm going to be honest with you. You heard me say it before. On certain issues, I do think I do that. I feel what I feel so strongly in the depths of my soul that it does become about when I hear someone else saying something different, then I'm like, no, you need to hear me. You need to hear what I'm saying. And I feel like that's a place I personally have gotten tripped up. The most productive conversations I've had with people whose opinions differ from mine or experiences differ from mine are when I'm going into it just to hear it and really take it in, not try to convince them that isn't their experience and not try to convince them what my opinion is of the experience is right. And frankly, like, look, I'm a white woman. There are many experiences I cannot understand in the same way as someone else is experiencing them. And I also carry my own things that others maybe don't. And I think that like, I'm taking away from this amongst a lot of other things that it's about listening, but it's not about listening to convince so I can stomp my foot and say what I think or what I think it could be better. And it's about also listening to the people that are actually affected by this, whatever this is in that moment, right? And you know, and not saying that defines every person affected by it, but really appreciating the fact that, like, again, I'll say it, Michelle, like you saying that, I was like, wow, that is a very different conversation than one I've had around this issue. Even other people that are immigrants, wow, you made some really interesting and valid points that I hadn't thought about before. And I feel like that's how we move, you know?
Sometimes we take for granted that people know this. And a lot of people don't know this. I know this because my parents were immigrants. But Jill, you didn't know. Tiesha, maybe you didn't know either, you know, and I don't say it enough and I don't voice it enough. But the differences are there and the opinions are there, but it's normal to us because we're coming from that world. But it is so important to voice it. Yes, Michelle, what were you going to say?
So what I was going to say is that I love the way that Jill's talking about this, because this is how everybody should be looking at how conversations should be had. I will say this. I have always considered myself a left, right? Because I believe that gays and, LGBTQ plus, you know what? Nobody, like, I have nothing to do with exactly what Tiesha said, who you're sleeping with, what you're doing. Doesn't matter to me. What matters is, do you respect me and do I respect you? So I was very on the left side because of a lot of things. But I have to tell you that, and then I'm going to throw this out there. John's family is very right. And so in the beginning, I avoided every single conversation. And I still do, to be honest. Like, I don't want to get into anything like that. But, there is that side. And listening to the conversations over the years, I think that I have found myself kind of, hey, there are things from that side that I do believe in. Right? I can say this because I'm the oldest in the group here too. Besides being the only immigrant, I feel like the last few years, I am coming to a realization that you can believe in two things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like and it doesn't have to be right or left. Yes, and so it has to be on what you believe in. And so where do I go when I'm voting? Because I can't find somebody who is in the middle, who is listening, who is doing exactly what Jill's talking about. Let's come to the middle, talk about this, listen to it in a different way. Try to understand my point of view and where I'm coming from. I'm glad that I was able to show you, Jill, and you, Jackie, and Tiesha. You kind of missed it a little bit. I think you were trying to deal with some of your tech issues. But that is my experience. That has been my experience, and that has been who I am. I have had a completely different life than other people's.
I appreciate that, you guys. Jill, at any moment you can get going if you need to.
I have
love you guys.
Bye, Jill. Love you. See you later, Jill.
See you. Bye.
I want to say this real quick, right? So being that this country is found on supposedly Christian values and God and beliefs and things of that nature, right? Yeah. Romans 14 is something I'm really big on. And it basically emphasizes that we all have different beliefs. We're all different people. However, we should still be accepting of everybody. We should still love, and we should avoid judgment. It highlights that ultimately each believer is accountable to God. So with that being said, what other people do, what they feel, how they perceive different things, it's not for us to judge them. One of the biggest things I see Christians do, and I am definitely a believer, but a lot of times we get tripped up because we're so busy judging everybody. Love isn't judgment. Love allows. Love allow you to make whatever choice you choose to make without me judging it. I have to respect you as an individual, and I'm going to love you regardless. If I'm not mistaken, it says love is his greatest commandment, that we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. How can we say not feed the child? They are neighbors too, right?
100%.
So it's our body, our choice. Love allows us to make those choices. Again, I am a social worker, so I am heavy on the vulnerable population. And that's the LGBTQ plus population. That's the immigrants. Those are the small kids, the women, the Black people, those in poverty. Those are the people I fight for. Yes, my race and things of that nature have been oppressed for so long, but there's no oppression over here because I know how to rise. I have been given the knowledge, the skills, and the ability to do those things. So I am not oppressed. The world has its way. We all go through different things in life. We have oppressive moments, but the mindset is what keeps us in oppression. Once we change that, we'll all be okay.
You go, girl. You said it 100%. It's a mindset, people.
It is a mindset.
When you have these polarized things happening, when you're involved in those things, that is when you lose yourself. Jackie, I love it that you're so passionate about your side of things, right? Like what you believe in. And I can tell, yes, like I'd be passionate about, not feeding children. What are you talking about? Right. But like it is a mindset, and we have to have a mindset shift in the world, just like I was saying before, because if not, this is going to be really bad for humanity.
I absolutely agree.
And I'll be honest, I love it that it came from Tiesha, probably the most repressed population, and here for me too. I'm an immigrant. I almost wanted to bring out peace and love t-shirts from now on, because really that's what we need in the world right now. So
I appreciate that, Michelle. All I know is my personality is such that if you girls were in trouble, a girl's gonna come out with her or fire to stand up for my girls. That is also a personality thing. Not that I disagree with you at all. I think love is in the forefront of everything. It's the only reason and way that I can keep opposing views. Right. Well, and also friends that have opposing views to my own.
Because think about it. If we were all the same, the world would be so boring. Like, we are supposed to be different. We're supposed to have different views and different thoughts, because it keeps our mind fresh. Just imagine all of us, we talk the same, we look the same, we dress the same, we have the same views. Yeah. And it's like, the God I know, he's very creative. He made all of us different, all unique, but we're all made in his image. And that's love. That's respect. That's peace. And once and a lot of people like to throw this scripture around too, is we turn from our wicked ways. We're here, hear from heaven, and God will heal the land. We are the land. We got to heal us. We turn from our wicked ways. Our wicked ways are the judgment. Condemning everybody, throwing rocks and hiding our hands. We all live in glass houses. Whether we celebrate July 4th, 1776, June 19th, 1865, or May 28th, 1865, we are free. And let's keep it that way. We ain't trying to go back. We're trying to move forward. The way everything is trying to be depicted is like, oh, we're going back. That's our mindset. If you believe it, it will come to pass. I ain't believing it. I ain't with it. It ain't happening over here.
I love it.
My ancestors did their part, and we ain't our ancestors.
That's right, girl.
So
that's right. Yep. I love it. I love how this ended. This is amazing. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.